One of my sons came running through to me in the kitchen the other day, and he was saying, "Mum, come and see this on the computer. It's you interviewing Kylie when you were both so young." He'd been surfing through the website YouTube. I don't know if you've ever done that. I really recommend it. It's really good fun. Anyway, he'd sort of stumbled across this video clip from 1987, when I was based in Sydney in Australia during the TV technicians strike. And we were broadcasting Good Morning Britain all the way from Sydney, halfway across the world. And there I was, all young and padded-shouldered, with big dangly 80s earrings, and there was Kylie, with long ringleted hair and a stronger than ever Aussie accent. It was really pronounced. And she was talking about how she would quite like to leave Neighbours and try a career as a singer, just to see how it would turn out. It was actually before she recorded the song that made her really, really famous, I Should Be So Lucky. Remember it? It was fascinating to see this old clip. It reminded me of the good old days when I was young and effortlessly slim and wide-eyed about the media and life and my own career. But then, looking at it, I was brought up sharp, because in the headline accompanying the clip, it said, "Veteran broadcaster Anne Diamond in the first big interview with Kylie." Veteran broadcaster. Now, you have to be really old when the media calls you a veteran. And then there was another clip of a documentary I'd actually never seen about the breakfast pioneers in the UK. The merry little band of insomniacs who started TVAM and BBC Breakfast Time back in 1983. There I was, whistling today, aren't I? There I was, smiling alongside Roland Rat, and even asking major Hollywood stars like Robert Wagner and Betty Davis to read out the morning bingo numbers. Then, and you will know this if you've ever surfed through YouTube, I clicked on the words, "Veteran broadcaster Anne Diamond," and up came dozens and dozens more clips. Here I was interviewing Margaret Thatcher, Dudley Moore, Emu, and even Kermit the Frog. And there I was doing aerobics in a slimming and fitness video, appearing on Celebrity Big Brother, stars in their eyes. Celebrity Fit Club. And then the headlines started to be a little more judgmental. They said, instead of veteran broadcaster, they described me as survivor, or fighter, or crusader. And they used adjectives about me like forthright, blunt, and outspoken. It's at moments like those that you start to see your life how others perceive it. And sometimes it is a bit surprising, because at home, I'm just mum. I'm getting on with the daily routine of trying to get my teenage boys out of bed and to school on time, and then trying to get homework done and then getting them back into bed, which is more difficult. The outside world's view of me, though, is much more hard. Not surprisingly, if you have a famous name, your life is summed up in quite harsh, crude headlines. I remember once when a photographer snapped me climbing out of my own swimming pool in my own back garden. He'd actually bribed a neighbour for use of the window. And I was 9.5 months pregnant and very, very overdue. And the picture in the next day's paper was of me looking enormous, wet and dishevelled. And the headline asked, "Has Anne Diamond lost her sparkle?" I tell you, when he took that picture, I was desperate to go into Neighbour. I was trying anything, but seeing the next morning's newspaper and that picture and that headline, that put me into Labour. My point is that life happens. It happens to us all, whether you're a household name or not. Life throws problems at you every day. Don't they say that problems are indeed a sign of life? The challenge, I suppose, is how you deal with them, and the experience is what you learn from them. The newspaper headlines will never tell you that much. For that, you have to talk to other people, real people. You have to have friends, buddies to share things with. And that's probably the biggest lesson that I've learned over the years. A year ago, I walked away from probably what was the most awful television programme on earth. I should never have gone on it. My agent tells me that I have to look back on it and think, that's another chapter for the autobiography. In fact, that's what he always says when something goes wrong and I ring him up and have a moan. He says, don't worry, cheer up, it's another chapter for the autobiography. I have to remind him that actually I've written my autobiography already. Anyway, back to this awful programme. It was called Celebrity Fit Club. It started in America as Fat Club, but they had to change the fat to fit because otherwise no celebrities in the UK would take part in it at all. Also, the producers tried to pretend that it was all about fitness and health, comradeship and togetherness. Everyone who takes part always loses tons of weight, they promised, and we'll give you access to the top weight loss experts in the world. It will transform your life. So I said, yes, okay, I'll do it. What a big, fat, giant mistake that was. I was told it would be friendly, motivating, inspirational, and where through teamwork and fun we would be guaranteed to lose weight and get fit and then be a stimulus to the rest of the country's fatties. By that time too I was so dispirited and discouraged by my own failure to lose weight that I was convinced that perhaps only the weekly humiliation of being weighed live on television would do the trick. Now, what I didn't tell the producers would get me into big, big trouble and lead to one of those life-changing moments that in the end teaches you a lot about the outside world and also a lot about yourself. I didn't tell them that 6 months before I'd secretly gone to Belgium to have a gastric band fitted to help me lose weight. Now, I don't know if you've ever heard of a gastric band. Several thousand people in Northern Ireland are walking around with one inside them too, so it's more common than you'd think. It's a little device that goes around your stomach to help you eat less food. It's a bit like having a corset on the inside. If you think of your stomach as a balloon shape, we've got plenty of those, and then the band goes around it and it turns the balloon into an hourglass shape. And the idea is that food goes in and goes into the top half of the stomach. It fills up very quickly, makes you feel full, and by the time you've realised that you're not completely full, because the food is working its way through to the bottom half of your stomach, then lunch is over. See, that's the idea. That's the theory. The theory looked great to me because I was pretty desperate. I'd endured years of yo-yo dieting, and I'd ended up with a far worse weight problem than when I'd started. The only trouble was my gastric band had not worked. It was incredibly depressing. I'd gone through the operation, and it was a big, scary decision to do it, but I was even more scared of the future if I went on gaining weight and losing control. So I'd gone abroad to Belgium to have the operation, and when I got back home, there didn't seem to be any difference. At first I lost a bit of weight because I was so damn scared to eat, but after that, I gained it back on again. I thought I was the only person in the world to go to the amazing extent of having weight loss surgery and still not losing weight. I thought it was me. I was a real numbskull. I thought I'd been taken in by internet promises of a surgical cure for my weight problem. I'd spent my money and I'd been hoodwinked. I bought this silly gadget that hadn't lived up to its promises. I blamed myself, as all overweight people do when they just can't beat their problem. But of course I knew that the TV producers would never understand. And anyway, they'd no doubt tell the newspapers, so I didn't tell them. And I went ahead with the programme anyway. I threw myself into it. I did the exercises and I took the yelling and bawling and screaming from that rather strange man who says he's a US Marine trainer called Harvey Walden IV. It was just like school games lessons. Everything I'd ever hated about being made to play hockey and netball on freezing winter afternoons in your navy blue knickers and white sports shirt. You know, I hated it then, and I hated it then. But through gritted teeth, I smiled because there were cameras around all the time. Several weeks, I lost nothing at all. Boy, did I hate it. But gamely, I played on. And then someone, somewhere, told Fleet Street I'd been seen in a hospital in Belgium. And 2 and 2 together made 4.5, and out of the blue, the Sunday People rang me late one night to ask me what I'd been doing in Belgium, having surgery. So I thought, right, okay, I'll come clean about the surgery. I told them all about it. The TV producers, knowing they'd got a very big story, promised they would be understanding and compassionate. But instead they produced the sort of television they thought would get bigger ratings, bullying and ignorance. I was stunned by the reaction. Ignorant condemnation, from people I had thought were friends and who were also meant to be fellow sufferers, people trying desperately to lose weight themselves. Mind you, they'd been given the news by the TV producers, who had encouraged them to either condemn me for supposedly cheating or see me as pathetic. Either way, their reaction was definitely manipulated for ratings. But me, I was inundated with letters from the most wonderful people who seemed to understand what I was going through and could barely believe the vitriol coming my way. Thousands of letters and emails poured in, saying, don't let them bully you off that show, we're losing weight with you and we want you to stay on. If you leave, you'll be letting the bullies win. More thousands of letters followed saying, get off that programme now before it destroys you. It's mean and it's cruel and it's exploiting you and you should have nothing to do with it. I had so many heart-rending, wonderful personal letters that I knew I simply couldn't deal with them all. So I set up a website so that all of these people could sort of talk to each other, form a community of compassionate, understanding, caring people who shared a goal to get themselves fit and healthy, but who utterly rejected the bullying, hectoring, patronising attitude that is so commonly shown towards the obese and overweight, even, and sometimes especially, by the medical profession. And it's interesting that we are hearing today about the fact that at least breast cancer nowadays has a certain respect. Obesity has no respect at all, and we must remember as well that while it's a growing problem, it is actually a risk factor in cancer. Now, my little community, my website, has grown into a community of some millions. We buddy up, we share each other's stories, woes and highs and lows. We chat, we write articles and letters, we have twice-weekly clinics with weight loss counsellors, experts, dietitians, therapists, hypnotists, surgeons, colonic irrigators, you name it. I called it Fat Happens. You know, like shit happens. Life throws it at you, and sometimes you've just got to deal with it in your own way. You've got to survive it and then get on with the rest of life. So in the same way I thought, fat happens. You have to know how to deal with it. You have to beat it in your own way without society throwing brickbats at you. Within a compassionate and caring community, with what I call buddy power, you can overcome it gently, slowly, surely, with a deeper understanding. And that's why I've changed the name now to buddypower.net. If you're surfing the internet, have a look for it. It's totally free. Because I've learned over the past year or so that it's not just about fat, it's about friendship. It's about the strength of real togetherness. It's about holding out your hand or throwing your arm around someone else, even if it's only your virtual arm, to help them through the problems that life is chucking at all of us. For years, I've presented TV programmes with the man I call my screen husband, Nick Owen. We got to know each other so well that we'd finish each other's sentences. I could read his moods. If he came into work at 3 o'clock in the morning and walked into our office with his shoulders down and his hair all tousled, I knew that Luton Town Football Club had lost the fight. If we had a film star to interview or something to do with arts or crafts, I knew I would have to take the lead, because his eyes would just glaze over. He did the same for me if it was anything to do with sport or money. Equally, when I was down over something happening in my private life or upset about something horrible the newspapers had printed, he would take the lead. We always boasted of this mutual understanding, that we could read each other's moods and compensate. We really valued it. Without it, how could we have co-presented a 3-hour daily programme for years on end? When he was down, I'd be up for both of us. When I was feeling quiet, he'd be bubbly for both of us. That's what makes real buddies. That's the strength of community, the strength of family. In these modern days, we often tend to live apart from our family, and that's why we should learn to make more buddies, and learn to lean on them, and let them lean on us, even if it's only through the internet. Sometimes, do you know, it's almost easier to be intimate and friendly through your computer than face-to-face. I'm certainly not undermining the value of real friendship, please understand that. I just think that perhaps internet chats can sometimes become the 21st century equivalent of a natter over the garden fence.